Hello, and welcome back to Jollyroger Hobbies. For this new series, we're going to be building the Star Trek Klingon Bird of Prey from AMT, model number 949. Originally, the Burrell-class Klingon Bird of Prey came from Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, and Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. It was one of the most iconic Star Trek ships out there, and my favorite. Here's the front of the box. And then as you can see, it can be built in 3 different positions. The popular cruise mode, the landing mode, and then the battle mode. Well, most people build it in the cruise mode and then the battle mode, and it comes with a stand. But I want to do the landed mode with the feet down. So let's open up and see what we got. See, here's all the pieces laid out. Comes in a standard green, so got your wingtip guns, or the disruptor cannons, side pieces, front nose of the torpedo launcher. Of course, don't forget your wing sections. Comes with many of these different radiator baffles. The reason for the different baffles is because the ship can be built in the landed, cruise, or attack mode. So we're only going to use one of those sections. Top section, and of course over here we have the bottom part of the hull. Comes with some neat little decals. Looks like a family crest, and then these go on the radiator baffles. We'll have to trim those to cut. And then the Klingon writing, which I'm trying to learn Klingon, but well, I don't read Klingon, so I can't tell you what that says. The cool thing about this kit is the original AMT kit had a landing gear that was real wobbly, and it fell off. The stand wasn't all that great. So the new kit, which I haven't taken these out, but these are landing gear struts, and they're made out of pewter. They're metal. That's awesome. That makes it real sturdy for this kit. And then you have your clear parts, your engine nozzle, and the torpedo tube launcher. And it also comes with the base and the pole. This is if you're going to use the cruise mode or the battle mode. And you could use it for the landing mode too. But the entire ship will be painted. Another first for me. I'll be doing an airbrush. Another first for me. And I'm planning on lighting this kit. So the engine nozzles will be lit up. The torpedo tube launcher will be lit up, and at this point in time, I'm thinking on trying to light it up like it was in Star Trek III and Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, including these windows here, and a couple up here, and probably some down on the bottom. I need to rewatch the videos. I need to find out what's lit up, what I can do, and go from there. And I still have to get the kit, the light kit, which I do not have now. It will be battery operated and off of a switch. So we'll get those pieces, and then we can start work on this. And then I've watched a bunch of other people build this with different things, and I'm going to take tips from each one and try and do my own and go from there. So here's the directions, which you've probably seen before. Pretty straightforward. First thing we do, build the radiator scoops. The second portion is the disruptor cannons, then the main body. There's the feet of the landing gear that we're going to be putting on. They're going to be building the wing portions, the body, and then putting it all together. The cool thing is, this is built in sections, which is going to be great because that's how I'm going to be painting it, is in sections. then there's the painting, and a lot of detail painting on this model. It'll be the biggest I've ever encountered. With that, because this is an older kit, 3 or 4 of the paints are discontinued. So I'm gonna have to make my own, or choose my own. So this is the painting guide as it came with. And pale green is discontinued. Now zinc green chromate isn't, but I've seen the chromate. I think it's way too bright of a green for this ship. It should be darker. And then sack bomber green is discontinued. So I'm using a Model Masters dark green, medium green where the chromate goes, and an interior green for the pale green, which is going to be the overall top of it. Alright, one of the best things to do when you're building a model, especially if you have to change any paints or colors, is to create your own color palette, if you will. So you can use a piece of cardstock that I use obviously for a bunch of things, and you can paint the colors that you're going to use on it, but it's not going to come out exactly the same as it would on the plastic or model that you're going to use it on. So what's really best to do is test it out on a piece of sprue. So I took the outside border of the sprue, cut into little pieces, taped it onto the cardstock, and then did my color testing. So these are the main colors that we're going to be using. So this up here, you can see the interior green, which this is replacing the pale green, which was discontinued. So you can kind of see on the camera, I don't know how well it shows, but the color put on the cardstock is a slightly different hue than on the sprue. And then you got your medium green, which I was used to replace the the zinc chromate. That's right. This replaces the zinc chromate because I did not like the zinc chromate. I think this is a much better color for it. And then the dark green, which is as close to sack bomber green as I could get, because the sack bomber green has been discontinued. So as you can tell, it looks real light on here, but looks darker on the color of sprue. So that's actually pretty close to the real thing. Then the interior red, which is going to be used for the feathers underneath the wings. I was really worried about this. Thought this would be a brighter red. Thought I'd have to dull it down. But as I put it on, it's actually kind of dark. But I still might put in a drop or two of rust, create more of a reddish brown. We'll see. Speaking of rust, here's the rust color and what it looks like. And it gives off kind of a shiny coat, so I might end up using dull coat on this after all. The gunmetal, which is used for the guns, honestly, I'm not happy with it. It doesn't look like gunmetal. It looks, I don't know. So what I might end up doing is creating another color, adding a couple drops of steel. We'll see what happens. See if I can't make it look more metal. Speaking of steel, this is the steel that is going to be used for the radiator baffles. And if you ask me, looks like chrome. I don't like it. I might add, who knows, maybe I'll add some gunmetal to this, or I'm thinking like I might paint the baffle flat black and then dust or dry brush with the steel to give it the accents. I think that might be better. So, we'll see. On a quick note, I don't know how well you can see this in the camera, but it'll be more apparent when we spray the model. So if you remember, I did not like the steel color that was supposed to be for the radiator baffles. I thought it was too bright, more like chrome. Didn't look like a dirty steel that's been in space for a while. So I looked for other colors and couldn't find anything that I liked, so I decided to make my own. It's the first time I've ever done this. I've never mixed colors before, and if you ask me, I think it came out awesome. So this very last one right here will be the color that we're going to be painting the radiator baffles. And how I arrived at that color was I took the steel color from right here, the one that I didn't like, added in some graphite metallic, which is actually this one right here, which is what I was thinking for the guns, or the disruptors. I'm still not sold on that just yet. Started with base coat of the steel, added in drop by drop by drop by the graphite. Still wasn't getting dark enough, so I add in some drops of flat black, and that got our color. And when we put it out on the sprue, like I said, I don't know how well you can see that in the camera, but she came out the perfect color that I want. So it's definitely a neat little color. Don't ask me about ratios, because I don't know what I put in. I just kept adding until it worked. The thing about mixing your own paints, I'll tell you right now, it is easier to darken a light color than lighten a dark color. So you always start with your light color first, add in some drops of your darker colors. You can always go darker, but getting lighter is almost, well, very difficult. So always start with your light color. So the best thing you use is just use a pipette, draw it out, put it in, use a different one for each color, so that way you're not mixing colors in your paint bottles. That's the last thing you want to do. And then this bottle I just bought from my Hobby Town. Actually came in a pack of 6 of them. So I got 5 other empty bottles for other colors if I want. Alright, just wanted to show you those real quick. And then right here is our lights. And remember I told you that they're strip lights. So we'll pull them out. They're LED strip lights, and they're cuttable. Every single LED is cuttable, so we're going to be cutting and fitting what we need and then rewiring them all together. This is our little battery box. On switch, off. The only problem is once I put it underneath the diorama, it's going to be hard to get at. So what I'm going to end up doing is pulling this apart and taking out the wires, and I'm going to rewire it to an external switch, which I want a bigger switch than this little thing. So I'm going to get that part from my Hobby Town as well. They partnered with Radio Shack, and they've got several of these switches, so we'll do that in a later video.